Let's let some people get in the room, and we're going to talk about the only thing to talk about. The only thing you guys like to hear about from me is about cutting hair. Because yesterday I released the vlog, and I kind of knew I probably should have kept that to the members, but I decided to release it to everybody because I just wanted to show the hospitality that I received from Fort Worth Barber Supply. The place is incredible. Those people are awesome, and I just had such a great time. I wanted to share with you guys that part of the story. All right. So anyhow, I got the Andis Revites. I've been actually toting them around for about a week. I've used them quite a bit, and I have them sitting in the back here, and I really need to finish this video. So that's one that I'm currently working on. And you know, it's one thing to, for me, it's like one thing to do a quick first impressions video, but the problem with me doing that in this case is I got them a little bit late. So a lot of people did first impressions videos, and you know, for the most part, my my opinion aligns with what they said. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for jumping up in the room. I just got the actually I got both of them. They're both sitting right there in this box because Fort Worth Barber Supply was cool enough to send me both. And just so you guys know, for a limited time, you guys could use code Eddie10. If you go online, go to Fort Worth Barber Supply, you can get anything you want, and you'll get 10% off. And that code's not like the other codes. That code's not going to stay working like that. There will be other codes in the future, but that's what we have going on right now. So if you guys want to purchase anything outside of Gamma, you guys could do that. Ghetto Symphony, I agree. He says cuts by Reggie says it's just bad. His blades keep falling off, and like 360 Jeezy says the same thing. But anyway, yo, that would be cool, man. I appreciate you guys. Nico the Barber, I appreciate that. Let's match our views with that like button. He's saying go ahead and smash that like button. I could use a little pick me up. So one of the things is this area that I live in pretty much got destroyed. All right. And it's been tough because we haven't had service or none of this other stuff, but I've just tried to pick up right where I left off. So I apologize to the members for not getting out as much content as I had hoped to do, but I had fallen off my schedule a little bit, but I did get back on it. I released a video exclusively to the members yesterday, and then I released that vlog, which maybe I should have did those opposite, but I just wanted to share my experiences with Fort Worth Barber Supply, and I wanted you guys to see what a fun trip that was, and you know, kind of where you could take this barbering thing. So he said tips for a barber 2 months away from graduating barber school, and I feel like I'm unprepared to start in a shop. Okay, that is look Sims. I got a great answer for you, man. I got a great answer for you, and I hope that we can get by the dead zone so you can get the whole thing. So you don't feel like you're prepared to go to a shop? I will tell you, there are a few things in life that you can never truly prepare for. One is buying a business. There's always going to be some reason why you shouldn't buy a business. I can't buy it because we just had another kid. I can't buy it because such and such is going on. I can't buy it because my wife don't agree with the purchase. I can't buy it because every business fails in like 5 days. All these things will happen to you. And the truth is, there's no way to really know until you jump off that cliff. And barber school only can bring you so far. I'm sure you've probably watched a million tutorials. I'm sure you've watched other barbers work. I'm sure you've had mentors. And at a certain point with this thing, you're going to have to do, not just watch. And the only way to really do that is to jump into the fire. And yes, you're going to mess some people up. Yes, you're going to have to put that part of yourself aside. If you're afraid to fail, you're just going to be afraid in general. I mean, still on a day-to-day basis, you can't be afraid to take risks. You can't be afraid to grow, really, is what you're afraid of. You're afraid of the growth. So when you get right down to it, you gotta go ahead and you gotta jump in. One of the things I did fresh out of barber school. One of my, I think it was like maybe the best thing I could have ever done for myself, to be honest. During I was actually in cosmetology school, but during cosmetology school, I got a job when this is 2003, in a high-end salon. And it was a nice salon, I was an assistant, basically doing shampoos and stuff like that. But I was never going to really be able to make it there. I would have had to have waited years to accumulate a lot of practice. To get them reps under my belt, I would have had to have waited years. Why is my hair doing this weird thing? I see it in the camera. It's bothering me. So I would have had to wait years. So I said, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to go to Supercuts. Supercuts gets a lot of heads. So I went to Supercuts, and the very first day, I felt exactly like you, woefully unprepared by school. And I got to do everything from long hair to short hair to men's fades to, bobs and graduated haircuts. Okay, fuck it. Let's go. I did 20 people my first day, and I didn't feel no different than you. I didn't know what I was doing. I had a vague idea, and I continued doing 20 people a day. There was days where I did 30, 35 people a day. And I'm telling you what, dude, it's just like any other job. You're a little uncomfortable at first when you get started, but once you get the ball rolling, I was like 4 weeks in, I'm like, who want what? Flat top? I got you. Graduated haircut? I got you. Long hair with layers? I got you. I felt like, who want what? And I really feel like 1 year of Supercuts was probably the equivalent of working 5 years in a private salon. So, yes, I could have done my grind in there, but that's all I got to say to you, man. Find a busy shop and jump in there. What do you think about a 16-year-old barber in a barbershop? I think that 16-year-old needs to go get his license, because it can be very easy for you guys to get caught up in the fast money of the barbershop. And if you don't go get your license, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have trouble scaling this thing along the way. I've met plenty of barbers that were extremely talented by the time they were 16. I wasn't one of them, but I was working in a shop when I was 16 as an apprentice. So when you get right down to it, there's nothing wrong with somebody being 16 and having already found their passion. I think that's beautiful. But I will warn you of some arrested development, all right? This is what happened to me. I worked in a barbershop or a salon for so long that I did not appreciate it. I always had money, like from working at there. Like compared to what all my friends had, I always had money from working in the shops. I was always making money, and I had no real appreciation for the craft. Because think about it, I was kind of like a spoiled little brat, spoiled little bitch. But basically what I'm trying to say is I was in it from such a young age that I didn't really appreciate what I had. And eventually I would leave the barbershop and I would go work, at a factory. And that was really a wake-up call. I've talked about it before. I'm not going back down that road. But it was really a wake-up call for me to see, holy shit, people got to wait an hour to make $15 fucking dollars. They got to wait an hour. I'm like, that's insane. That's insane to me, because since I've been 16, I ain't never waited no hour to make no 15 bucks. It ain't happening. It hasn't happened to me. Even at Supercuts, I did better than that. And that's in 2003. So I'm just saying, I didn't have the appreciation for it. So I just want to warn these young barbers who are getting started, like, you don't have a lot of life experience. You haven't worked a whole bunch of jobs. You haven't had to worry about your bills or anything like that, really. Not for a long period of time. Someone helped you get to be 16 years old, and more than likely, someone has helped you either board yourself or have a car or get you where you're going and stuff like that. But the world and its experiences are something that you don't yet know. And when you get right down to it, you got to watch out for that. You got to appreciate this business and stay with it and treat it good and understand that you are something special and you have something special. And all these people who go to college and all these stuff like that, they're going to go to college. They're going to spend 4 years in a college. They're going to come out and they're going to make like $66,000 a year. If they're lucky, they're making $30 an hour after getting a bachelor's degree. Sure, some people are going to do a little better. Some people are going to do a little worse. But you are able to make damn near double that in 2 years if you get up on your grind. You know what I'm saying? So treat it as something special. Going to barber school and getting your license, you did accomplish something special. You got something done. You have something under your belt, and nobody can stop that or take that away from you now. Now you can take that wherever you want to go and as far as you want to go. So really the only limits we place are the ones we place on ourselves. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, am I busy enough? Am I happy enough? Am I getting by? Am I doing what I want to do? Am I thriving? All those things. He said, looks like that like button is free. That like button is free. Everybody smash that thing. The information we got to share. Thank you, Nico the Barber. I really appreciate you. Hey, Spaced Out Podcast says, yo, let's go Bills. Now, the Bills pissed me off. I was so mad during that game. I'm glad I didn't go out to watch it because there was no power around here at my local bar, the one that I always go to watch it. They didn't have the power. So I said, screw it, I'm going to stay at home. And I was salty. I was so salty. But the team stayed together. And there's a little lesson to be learned from this too, by the way. I drew a little analogy from Von Miller. I call him King Von. He stepped off the spaceship in his white suit with the glasses on and everything during his press conference. And he says, how did it feel? They said, how did it feel when you guys were down 23-0? I mean, and you felt like that game had to be a loss. Like, what was going through your mind? And Von looked at them simply and said, I never felt like that. I never once felt like we were not in control of this game. So you're telling me when the going was getting tough, when the shit was at its worst, Von Miller's attitude was, we're not out of this thing. We're not out of this thing. We're 2 plays away. We're not out of this thing. And I just thought that was a cool little lesson to just say to yourself, like, you know what, no matter what the situation is, no matter what you're going through, no matter what your business situation is or whatever it is you're struggling with, just remind yourself, bro, like Von Miller, you're not out of this thing. It ain't over till it's over. Not till the clock hits 0. And the clock has not hit 0 for many of you guys. So I just thought that was a cool little lesson, like to hear him. And he was like, yo, it's all positivity around me. I trust in my training. I trust in my staff. I trust in my coaches. I trust in everything else. But we could be sitting here. Hey, what up? Tank be chopping up in the house. How you liking them Andis Revites, G? I got the pair sitting right there in this box. And I just gotta knock out this voiceover. I got a couple little things I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna release my video on this thing. But yo, smash that like if you guys are getting some positivity this morning. If you guys are getting something that you feel like it's going to invigorate you, make you go a little bit harder today, make you do a little more than you did yesterday, and be that better version of yourself so that you could grind harder, you know? I'm trying to get to the shop in time so I can maybe film this haircut. This is my buddy Anthony's going to meet me there. He moved kind of far away, and I'm trying to I'm trying to get another one of his haircuts filmed. I've been cutting this kid's hair since he was like he was probably like 11 or 12 years old. I mean, so he said, let's go, Anthony Chavez. I'm 35. I just finished school 2 months ago. Chase your passion, fam. That's all right, man. There you go. Wavy Cut says, let's go to Anthony. You know, and at the end of the day, if you are 35 and you just feel barber school, or you are 55 and you just finished barber school, no matter what the age that you are, I just want to address this because a lot of people think they might be too old to go to barber school. And I'm just going to point out the fact that you, however you got to be 35 or 55 or whatever age you are, your life experiences still count for something. You understand things that people in their teenage years do not understand. You understand that big things take time, and you understand that it will take patience, and you will have both. You will also understand how to treat people, how to use customer service to your advantage. So what I'm trying to say here is all the other previous life experience that you have, it's not just gone. It's not just out the window. I've seen people come into the barbershop, go to barber school at like 45 or 50 years old, and wind up accumulating a giant clientele in 2 years. How do you get a big clientele in 2 years? You have to be dedicated. You have to be making sacrifices to do that, and you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, especially if you're in your 40s, 50s, whatever, that means that you got to find social media. You got to do things that are uncomfortable for yourself that go beyond just trying to learn. And if you do that, all your past experiences and your future experiences and everything will blend together, and you will be able to be successful. There's no reason why you can't. So whether there's people who think they're too young, there's people who think they're too old, sometimes making the decision to go and do something that you really want to do, something that you've put in the back of your head all this time, sometimes the worst thing you could do is not do it. How many people think on their deathbed, God, I'm glad I stayed at that factory. God, I'm glad I didn't take no risks. God, I'm glad I didn't spend no time with my kids. God, I'm glad I didn't have no time for myself. I didn't even develop any passions because I was so busy working. Nobody on their deathbed says all that shit. People on their deathbed, they say, I wish I would have started that business. I wish I would have taken that risk. I wish I would have spent more time with my kids. I wish I would have brought a better life to my family. And that's the type of shit that people think about on their deathbed. They don't sit there and think, man, thank God I didn't try to take that risk. You know what I mean? People will sit there and think all that craziness, but at the end of the day, I think it's a lot worse to have a passion for something and have a desire to do something and having never sought it out. You know, it's just like if I wanted to own a business, it could be any business, it doesn't matter. It just so happens to be that I'm driving past I don't know what the hell this is called, but they sell flowers, a flower shop. Now, I could buy a flower shop and maybe figure out how to run it, but that would probably go right into the ground because I don't know shit about flowers, planting, or none of the other stuff. So wouldn't it make more sense for me to take a pay cut and go work at that place? Go work there for a couple years. Treat it like I own it. Figure out everything there is to know from the inside to the outside and then even see if it's a viable business opportunity, and then make the decision about whether or not I want to own this flower shop. These are the smart things to do in life. So yes, what I'm speaking to is somebody who is working at a factory, somebody who's working at some corporate job, and they're sitting there and they're like, oh, this is great. I make $66,000 a year. It's just enough to make me not quit, but it's not much, and I don't have a whole lot left over, and you know, I got to spend a lot of time away from my family, and I have no passions. I can play golf once every other week if my wife allows it, because you know, when I get right down to it, sometimes I just can't get out. Like, this is not the life that you want to live. So if it means that you got to sacrifice that $30 an hour that you make to go back to making $10 or $15 an hour for a short period of time to grow it into something much bigger, a lot of people are not willing to do that. A lot of people are not willing to do that. And it's hard to do. It's hard to jump off the cliff. And it's just like I told that kid earlier, there is never a right time to do certain things. You can always create excuses in your mind to do certain things. And why I don't want to buy this business? Because I got this new cat, and this cat, he requires all my attention. I got this and that. I just had another kid. Like, you come up with all these excuses about why you shouldn't do them, but really those are all excuses about why you should do that shit. You got another kid, you should do that shit. You got reasons to have more money, you should do that shit. You're falling behind on your bills, you should do that shit. All these reasons that you use as excuses to not do it, oddly enough, are actually the very same reason why you should be doing that. You know what I mean? He said, big facts. Ivy Mack says, people say they hate their jobs, but they won't pursue their passions. Stop whining, start grinding. I like that. That's a campaign slogan. Ivy Mack, campaign slogan, stop whining, start grinding. And I like that. You know, it's funny because there was somebody I was recently spending some time with. I'm not going to name no names. But my God, did they spend a lot of time complaining about everything under the sun. And I looked at him, I'm like, when did you become such a complainer? I've never heard so many complaints from you before. I never would have viewed you as a complainer. And then every time he looked at me when he started again, after we had that conversation, it was like 10 minutes later before he started complaining about something else again. And I started doing this. Every time he looks at me, I'm making the violin. And he's like, man, fuck you. You know, and it's true. Like, I think some people can get stuck in these mind patterns where, like, complaining is the only thing that gives them some gratification. So they just do it incessantly. It's like a broken tape they play in their head to anybody who will listen to them. And I think what happens is they're just miserable with their own situation. And they need to find their own way out of it. Oh, man, look at this spillway, y'all. This is from my fisherman days. This is right where I be. You see these birds? Birds are not stupid. All right? They operate instinctually, and they know when shit like this is going on. Y'all see that spillway? They know that a bunch of stuff is spilling over that spillway. All them little critters from inside them woods, all them worms, all them little things. So they're just sitting there and they're eating, right? And then right underneath that, the fish are eating what they don't eat. So if you should just so happen to throw a little line with a hook in right there, you're going to reel in a big fish. Which brings me to my next point. In the book, Win Friends and Influential People, this is one of my favorite books, by the way. And if you guys haven't had a chance to read this one, How to Win Friends and Influence People, this book is not exactly what it sounds like if you haven't heard it. It's not a book about manipulating people and trying to make everybody your friend. It's more about helping other people get what they want, and you will also get what you want as well. But one of the things that he said, going back to the fishing just for a second, is he said, I like strawberry shortcake, but when I go fishing, I don't use strawberry shortcake because the fish don't like strawberry shortcake. I use a worm when I go fishing. So what he was basically saying was bait the hook to suit the fish. So if you're in your shop and you're complaining all the time behind the chair, or you're doing all this talk about stuff that has nothing to do with the customer and it's not helping you grow in any way, shape, or form, then maybe you need to change your conversation. You need to change the way you're approaching this game, and you need to make a couple little changes within yourself so that you too are baiting the hook to suit the fish, so to speak, giving them what they want when they walk in that shop. Go ahead, guys. Last thing before we leave, because I got to fight my way through this traffic jam. I'm kind of hoping to get here in 5 minutes. And, you know, we still got, I don't know what's going on. School is out till Friday, and they got a bunch of lights that have been down ever since the storm. I guess they're starting to clear up now. But you know what's kind of stupid is, like, they had cops out here, and for some reason they didn't have nobody directing traffic. And I didn't really understand that. Like, dude, it's so easy to ignore a light altogether. You're supposed to take a light that's out as a stop sign, but it's so easy to ignore a light altogether when it's not blinking or nothing. Like, you're just focused on the road, and people were just blowing them left and right, and I don't know how many accidents there probably was in the last few days. So I was like, why don't they got cops out here directing traffic? All right, so I'm going to ask you guys, and this is for me as well as it is for you, all right? If you're a client, you put yourself in the client's shoes, and you walk into a barbershop, what are the things that you want to see? What is it that you want to see? How do you want to feel? How do you want to be treated? How do you want to look? Give me those things. What are the things that we could do as a group? There's 18 of us in here right now, plus me, that's 19. All right. As a group, what are the things that we could do to make our shops better, to make the experience that the customers feel better, and starting right there at the door? All right. I'm looking for some comments. Y'all go ahead and answer them. All right, I'm looking for some comments, and let's hear what you guys got to say. All right, I'll start it off while you guys go ahead and you start making some comments. All right, so one of the first things that I like to do, and I will tell you, no matter if you own your shop or not, one of the first things that I want to get you guys to start thinking is start thinking like an owner. Start thinking like an owner, and an owner doesn't give a fuck what a client, who that client is going to. The owner is happy that that client is at the shop. That owner wants to keep that client at the shop at all costs, regardless of who he's going to. So greet them. That's where I'm getting to. That's no fro 519. I think that's your name. I'm trying to trying to say it, but greet them. So I'm getting right at that. Doesn't matter if they're your client or not. You would be stupid not to greet everybody who walks into your shop, whether they're just there for information, there to book a future appointment, or there to see a barber that they know. And it will also be like liquid gold, hot liquid magma, if you could remember their names. It's pretty easy to remember their names for me, but I like to greet them not only by their face and just to greet them, but I like to greet them by name. What's up, T? How you doing? What's up, Joe? How's it going? Because this is an experience that they are not going to get anywhere else. They're not going to walk into Publix or their grocery store and have somebody say, hi, Tim, how's everything? How's the kids? That's just not going to happen. So if we're talking about setting ourselves apart in something very simple that we could do, and I've heard all the excuses, I can't remember the names. It's too hard for me. I'm just bad with names. Shut the fuck up. You're bad with names because you don't give a fuck about nobody but yourself. And if you really cared about these people's names, if you're so hard up to not remember people's names, you got a bad memory. Well, they got this thing that literally the Egyptians used to use. You could use a fucking pencil and you could write it down. Billy drives a Camaro. It helps me to remember it with something else. I used to do this. When I walk into a new shop, that'd be the first thing I'd start doing. So that I remember Billy next time he comes in. What's up, Billy? How's it going? And bam, we're creating a unique experience. So at the end of the day, don't make excuses for, I'm just bad with names. I'm just bad at business. I just suck at everything. Like, nah, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that. Especially don't do that in front of me. Because you know I'm going to get the violin out if you're going to start complaining. All right? All right, John says clean, consistency, and respect. I agree, man. I agree. Great word, brother. I tell barbers the best barber is behind the chair. Quit comparing yourselves to others. You are your own competition. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go back to just being clean, being consistent, and doing those things. Those are definitely going to help, right? One of the things that once this client, sits down, it's a pet peeve of mine. I hate doing consultations when clients are standing up. I don't know if it bothers you guys the way it bothers me, but it bothers the shit out of me. And I hate doing consultations over the phone or a week in advance and stuff like that. Like, yo, it's a men's haircut. I pretty much do this day in and day out. I'm not really going to remember a consultation that took place a week before you even got here. All right. Maybe little minor details, but for the most part, when you get in the shop and you sit down, then I will begin the consultation. But once I do, I am all yours. I am all yours. I want to hear everything you got to say, and I want to make sure that we are on the same page and we are communicating well, because good communication skills are going to go a long way. I don't really think there's a whole lot of bad haircuts out there. There's people who are unhappy with the service they received because barbers didn't ask the extra question, and then they want to blame it on the client sometimes. Don't do that. That's complaining. That's putting the blame on somebody else. That's making yourself, trying to not take responsibility for yourself. And let's face it, you don't get too far in life without taking some responsibility for yourself. But one of the things is, client says, yeah, I'd like a number 2 all the way around and trim the eyebrows. So you take the number 2, right? And you mow down the top of their hair. And they're like, no, I meant like all around the sides. I didn't want it this short on top. Well, you said all the way around. So what you're basically saying is, you could have just asked one more question. Hey, by all the way around, do you mean just around the back and sides, or do you really want it that short on top? Because your hair is pretty long on top. Use context clues. So you ain't got to be no fucking Dick Tracy, Sherlock Holmes, or nobody else. All right? You know what your client might want. And some barbers use this shit as an out to get a guy out of the chair a little bit quicker. Don't do that either. That's stupid. So, when that consultation begins, make sure you ask your questions, paraphrase, and be 100% sure that we're both on the same page. And if for some reason in 2022, words are not enough, we all have phones, most shops have Wi-Fi, we can go ahead and we can pull up a picture. We can just make sure that we're on the same page. But once that stuff is out of the way, it's time for you to ask some of the tough questions about the hair too. One of my favorite questions to ask behind the chair: what don't you like about your hair? Now, of course, I can't do this too often because I've been cutting the same people for like 10 years. So, you know, it's become more of a personal relationship at this point. And once in a while, we talk about the hair, but not that much. But when I get a new client, what don't you like about your hair? This just opens so many doors for me. I can answer so many questions. So I just like to spike my hair up, but like a lot of products won't do it. This tells me two things. One thing is I could probably cut the top a little shorter, because if I leave it so long, it's going to look like you stuck your finger in a light socket when you go to spike it up, and you're going to look stupid. So we need to make sure that we cut that down to a manageable length, and we make it easier for whatever product he chooses to use to spike it up. Secondly, I could recommend a product that will actually hold his hair up, and I could use maybe some texturizing shears or some other techniques, point cutting, texturizing, whatever, to help it stand up. That was just a simple question that I asked, and I came up with 3 really easy solutions that are going to make his service better. What don't you like about your hair? Very simple. Very simple to ask, very simple to answer. So, you guys ain't giving me nothing else. That's all you got. Clean consistency, right behind the chair. That's it. And greeting customers 101. We could probably leave it there. I got literally probably about 100 more things that I could do to make my service a little more special than anybody else's. But at the end of the day, I think most of you guys know some good common sense approach to make sure that your clients are being taken care of. He said, they call me super consultation in the shop because I ask the clients a lot of questions. I'd rather give them exactly what they want, but I've learned to spread the consultation out throughout. Yeah, I think he's saying like throughout the service, he's learned to spread the consultation out a little bit. And you know, he's right. Because like once you have an understanding of what you're going to do, you know it's going to be a skin fade. Maybe you don't know 100% about like how he wants his beard and stuff like that. But like right now, you're focused on the haircut. You can ask him about the beard when you get to the beard. Like, do you like the mustache pushed down off of your nose? Do you like to, have this faded out a little bit? Do you know, those type of things. He said, could a barber be successful without providing a traditional face and head shaving services? Absolutely. Absolutely, we could be successful. Look at Supercuts. I'm just looking at Supercuts as a business. I'm not looking at Supercuts as a place that I would like to work anymore. But as a business, they generate more money than pretty much any other shop in the world. And guess what they don't do? They don't do any shaving. No razor, no facial shaving, no head shaving. And I know you might say that, well, they're a salon too, but they do cater to men. They cater to men as well. And there's plenty of shops that don't do shaving, and there's plenty of customers who don't want to be shaved. So, at the end of the day, you can bait the hook to suit the fish. If you decided that you're looking for the clients who like rap music, then play rap music. You're not going to get the old guys who don't want to hear that shit. You're not going to get those. But you're developing your own clientele. You're baiting the hook to suit the fish. So the people you want are younger. That's what that's saying. And if I'm going to have young people here, maybe I can have some other cool shit in the shop that'll attract more young people. If I want to build my clientele around any demographic, I simply need to ask myself what demographic I actually want to have in my shop, and then I need to work backwards from there. Okay, what do they like? What will make them feel more comfortable? What would make it easier for them to book appointments? What could I do to suit them? That's all you got to do. So if it turns out you don't want to do shaving, fine, don't do shaving. Don't matter. That's a standard in your shop, and that's the end of it. But if you do want to do shaving, fine. There's plenty of people who don't want it. I rarely do full face shaves. I do a lot of like beard details, but I haven't done a full face shave in forever. He said, focus on your customer conversation. Who's better, Jordan or LeBron? I never really was much of a basketball person, but I mean, LeBron's obviously an amazing player. So is Jordan, but I don't know much about that. Football is my... That's why the funny thing is, too, is like, you could probably keep up on some of the things that your clients like as well. You got a lot of clients who really like football. You're in one of those type of shops. Like, maybe just for the good of your business, you kind of keep up on some of that stuff. Keep up on some of those games. You got clients who like certain teams. Maybe at least you watch the highlights of that team and you just kind of see, how do they fare this week? That type of thing. And then that way when he comes in, you could break his chops. I love breaking chops, I think I'm built for that. All right, we're going to get this Andis Revite out. You guys want to see it real quick? I'll show you real quick. We'll get this Andis Revite out. And, all right, I know the big concern is that this blade pops off. And the truth is, if you push this a little bit too hard, like in the closed position, it will fly right off. And it fell to the bottom of the box. But maybe if you work a little bit more carefully with it, but I mean, it doesn't really stay on all that great. I mean, to be honest, it's falls off quite easy. The idea is a cool idea. I think it really is. It's just, I think they're probably going to wind up making a version 2. And I also think that maybe they should not have released this quite as soon as they did. But what's up, Floyd? Got these guys, these Vietnam vets, man. He's the best.
My hat, look, it's a mess, man.
Somebody earlier yesterday, they asked me, can you make a flat top when I don't got much hair? I'm like, are you kidding me? I got this guy. Show him your hair, Floyd. We'll make a flat top out of that.
No, I don't know. Maybe, no.
I'll make it so flat he could do a headstand on that bad boy. All right, it might not have the density for that, but we'll give it a go. All right, you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this morning's live. Got some shit off my chest, feeling pretty good about it. And I'll catch you guys soon. So this is the YouTube Barber Academy. I'm Mr. Eddie Barber, and I appreciate you guys all for hanging out. Smash that like button on the way out, and I'm out of here. Peace.